Okay, so we've got this mountain of books and articles all about starting and scaling a business. Side hustles, funding, branding. It's a lot.
Mm.
But in this deep dive, we're going to break it all down and pull out the most useful, actionable advice for our listeners.
And one thing that really struck me going through all this material is just how much emphasis there is on planning, even for something as seemingly spontaneous as a side hustle.
Yeah, you want to just dive right in, follow your passion, but having a plan is crucial.
Right, absolutely. I mean, even if it's just a simple one-page roadmap, just to get clear on your goals, who you're targeting, it makes a world of difference.
So don't quit your day job just yet.
Not so fast. We saw a lot of support for the side hustle approach. Test the waters while you still have that financial stability.
Right, so you're not jumping in completely blind. And that actually segues perfectly into our next point, funding, because that's a big one.
It can be a real catch-22. Needing money to grow, but needing to show growth to get funding.
It's like needing experience to get a job, but needing the job to get experience.
Exactly. But the good news is there are more options now than ever before. Crowdfunding, competition.
People pitching their ideas, winning seed money. Pretty high stakes, right?
Definitely. And, another funding strategy we came across was the work, save, and resign approach. Basically, use the stability of your current job to build a safety net before taking the leap.
That's smart. Practical, but it takes discipline.
It does. But no matter how you piece together your funding, one thing we kept seeing was the need for efficiency, especially early on. You're wearing all the hats.
Which is where this implementation flywheel thing comes in, right?
Ah, yes. Such a great strategy for tackling all those little tasks that eat up your time.
Because it's death by 1,000 paper cuts sometimes, answering emails, scheduling social media.
It all adds up. But the implementation flywheel gives you a system for identifying those tasks and, crucially, automating them.
So walk us through it. What are the steps?
Okay, so first, just list out every single task you do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Everything.
Exactly.
Then you go through that list and pinpoint the tasks that are high frequency but low complexity. Those are the ones you want to automate.
Makes sense. And last step.
Implementation.
Mm-hmm.
Find the tools, whether it's software or just setting up some email filters.
Work smarter, not harder,
Yeah.
right? Free up your time and brain space for the big picture stuff.
Exactly. And that leads us to another important piece of starting strong, standing out. Because you can have a great idea, tons of energy, but in a crowded market, how do you break through?
This is where it gets juicy. Building a brand that doesn't just sell, but really sings.
Yeah, it's about creating an identity, but not just a surface level one, not just a logo or a tagline. It's got to resonate deeper.
Creating a feeling, an experience. A few sources talked about that, especially the one that dug into consumer psychology, like the power of a good brand story.
Oh, totally. Weaving that narrative, connecting your business to your customers' values, makes you relatable, memorable.
We even saw this idea of a brand character, almost like giving your brand a personality.
It's like when you think of Apple or Nike, you're not just buying a product, right? It's a whole thing.
Exactly. And one source had this concept of a value ladder, which really plays into that whole customer journey.
Oh, yeah, the value ladder.
Yeah.
It's basically about strategically offering more value to your customer at each point of interaction.
So building a relationship, you wouldn't propose on the first date. You got to nurture that connection, build trust.
Exactly. You're showing your worth with every interaction. And speaking of growth, this whole branding thing, the customer experience, it's even more crucial as you start to scale.
Which brings us to the next challenge. Let's say things are going wild. You're drowning in orders, haven't slept, living the dream. But how do you scale up without losing what made you special in the first place?
That's where company culture comes in, big time. This came up constantly in our research. Your team, your culture, they have to be able to grow with your business.
It's like that Zappos example. They built $1 billion company, and at its core was this amazing customer service, which stemmed from a company culture that really valued its employees.
Right. It's not enough to just hire talented people. You have to create an environment where they can thrive, use their skills, feel invested. Because scaling up, it's messy. There are going to be curveballs.
Absolutely. And as you scale, you've got big decisions to make, like funding. We talked about bootstrapping, but sometimes you need that outside capital to really level up.
For sure. But that comes with its own complexities. Bringing in partners, potentially giving up some control.
And speaking of shaking things up, we saw this idea in a few sources. Get ready for it. Partnering with your competitors.
Sounds crazy, right? Like, isn't the goal to crush the competition? But sometimes collaboration is more powerful.
So instead of a death match, it's a strategic alliance.
Exactly. Leverage each other's strengths, reach new markets, share the risks.
It's like Facebook acquiring Instagram, WhatsApp.
Exactly. Bringing your competitors into the fold. Now, whether that's genius or dangerous is up for debate. Some say it's brilliant strategy. Others worry about stifling innovation. The point is, there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
So what's the answer? How do you decide?
It comes down to your values, your long-term goals. What are you willing to do or not do to reach them? But one thing was clear from our research. To handle this crazy world of growth, you need a certain mindset.
We've covered a ton, from side hustles to scaling up. And none of it really matters without the right mindset, does it? You could have the best business plan in the world, but without that entrepreneurial spirit.
It's just a piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
But that mindset, it's so essential.
Yeah.
And one thing that really stood out in the research was the need for certain qualities. Resilience, adaptability, that constant drive to learn.
Oh, absolutely. And self-awareness. One book had this exercise. Picture your life as a biography.
Wow. Yeah, powerful. What story are your choices telling? What kind of legacy are you building? Forces you to think long-term.
It's about intentionality. We talk a lot about productivity, optimizing our time.
By trying to squeeze every last drop out of the day.
But then one source mentioned how UPS, the shipping company, saved millions by telling drivers to avoid left turns whenever possible.
Really? Just from that?
Yeah, it's about challenging those assumptions. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the ones we overlook.
It's so true. Sometimes you have to unlearn old habits, too. Things we don't even realize are holding us back.
And embracing the unknown, that's a big part of it, right?
Huge. Because it's a roller coaster. Entrepreneurship. High highs, low lows. You have to ride those waves and never lose sight of your purpose, your why.
And that's what it comes down to. What's your driving force? What does success actually look like for you?
Exactly. Is it a billion-dollar company? Or is it the freedom to pursue your passion? There's no right answer.
As long as you define success on your terms. Don't let society tell you what it should be.
Because it's not just about building a business, right? It's about building a life you love alongside it.
You're finding that balance where your work energizes you and you're truly proud of what you're building. That's what we hope you take away from this deep dive.
Absolutely. And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
We're all in this together, so keep dreaming big, keep hustling smart, and we'll catch you in the next deep dive.